Eagle, proud symbol of our country, keep on flying high up above, and together we will stand and we'll restore the land. Oh, Eagle, keep on flying, Eagle.
Hey, welcome in. Listen to the Eagle. Bert Ott Carruth, I'm your host, coming to you live from the Reed's Metal Studio right here in Jackson, Mississippi, at the beautiful Farm Bureau building, alongside Paul Ott, down in the beautiful Lake Dixie Springs at the Scenic Rivers region. How about you, Paul Ott?
Ooh, Bert, it's been kind of chilly, really, down here. But, boy, Dixie Springs and the Scenic Rivers was hopping this weekend with a wedding at the Mallard. I'm telling you, it was something else.
Oh, yeah, Paul Ott. We got a hot show today. Speaking of the Mallard and the historic restaurant there at Lake Dixie Springs, we're going to have Ted Malta call in, the owner, kind of update us on the big wedding, which was kind of the big kickoff and grand opening for this wonderful location and restaurant that he's going to tell us more about. And also your family, which is my family, history there is pretty rare.
Yeah.
We've also got Jim Holcomb that's going to call in. Jim visits us from time to time on Listen to the Eagle and talk about the Forever Wild Land Trust. There was a lottery hunt that he won, and he's going to update us on that, something I would like the state of Mississippi to look into, and I'd like for all of our listeners to listen to Jim and what the state of Alabama did, because I think it's something we could really push the Department of Wildlife or maybe our legislatures and get them to get that accomplished. We've also got John Youngblood with Realtree. Got a quick little interview with him this evening as well. And then, of course, your calls. You want to be a part of the show. Paul Ott started this show for you, the state of Mississippi, to have a voice. You want to be a part of it. 1-800-251-5891. That's 1-800-251-5891 or pound 444 if you're C-Spire, customer inspired like we are. Well, Paul Ott, let's go straight to our first guest. Like you said, it was a big-time hopping weekend at beautiful Lake Dixie Springs, and we've got the owner of the Mallard, Mr. Ted Malta. Ted, welcome back.
Thank you, Bert. Glad to be on.
Ted, have you had any sleep at all?
No, I'm actually still here.
Oh, Ted, you were on our show a little bit about a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, and we kind of went down the history of Lake Dixie Springs and the Dixie Springs Cafe, which is now the Mallard, and what it once was. And, man, just the beautiful, beautiful landscape that you've created there, right there at Lake Dixie Springs. But we kind of had a big kickoff weekend. All of our family members and cousin Kim got married this weekend, and it was kind of the grand hoopla for the Mallard, was it not?
It really was. She is our first bride, and she really, really brought it home. I mean, it was a very, very special occasion. You know, Kim, for the most part, actually grew up on the site in the residence above the motel, and so she had been here her whole life. And it just, for her to come home and have her wedding here was quite special.
Did now I'm gonna pull the curtain back a little bit, and I want to talk to you and tell me, how did the operations go? Did it meet your expectations, and did everything go off just like you wanted it to?
There were a few hiccups, but everything went surprisingly well, and it was very well received, which is what was most important to me.
Right.
We made it. I think we made it look easy, which is what's always that's always good. But behind the scenes, there were a few things happening. I fell down 3 flights of stairs after warning people all night to be careful on the stairs. I seriously did. I fell down 3 different flights of stairs.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I need to tell guests to be careful.
Well,
but,
I saw all the pictures on social media. It was absolutely beautiful. Not only the wedding, but your restaurant and your bar is just, it's just unbelievable. It's second to none. And then, of course, talked to a lot of family members that were there, and they just went on and on about how grand and great everything was.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. We really tried to take it back a notch and to the original and bring back a level of style and hosting for folks and wanted people to step out and dress up and celebrate. It was quite nice. It really was. And like I said, it was very well received. We feel very fortunate for the support that we've gotten.
Yeah.
It's still, I don't want folks to think it's overly elegant because it is grand. It's approachable. You know, there's something here for everyone. You know, it's at heart really a lodge, being that we've got cabins, you know, for overnight guests and outdoor spaces and things like that. It's a real versatile, you know, venue for how you want to use it, you know, and what you want to apply it for. Last night was for an elegant wedding and cocktail party, and it was really beautiful.
So, Ted, real quick, for maybe some of our listeners that were not tuning in a month ago, kind of give us the little quick snapshot and frame exactly what you are for the state of Mississippi. And what I want to invite after Ted does this is for you to take a small little trip, go down Highway 51 to the Scenic Rivers region in southwest Mississippi and find out for yourself about this just unbelievable restaurant that has so much history. But, Ted, just in a snapshot, kind of explain about our family and how you got to be the owner and the history of the location.
Well, certainly. Well, Bert, you know, Bert and I share a great-grandfather. Our grandfathers were brothers, and our great-grandfather originally was one of the original founders of the Lake Dixie Springs community, forming the lake and the community around it, and then built the Lake Dixie Springs Cafe right on the lake in 1939 after relocating from Brookhaven, where he had the Coffee Pot. The Coffee Pot in Brookhaven was the first drive-in restaurant in Brookhaven. And he had the Greyhound bus station there on Old 51. The Greyhound bus stop was there. When the new 51 was built and he lost the Greyhound, he negotiated to buy this property down to Dixie Springs and moved and a new bus stop as well for Greyhound, and that's how he started his his history and reputation in business here at Dixie Springs. The restaurant was operated by our grandfathers together, Bubba and Lester. It was later operated by our cousin, who we call Aunt Ann.
Yeah.
And then it was out of the family for about 20 years, I believe. I don't know the exact number.
That's about right,
But yeah, I believe Keith Bird was an owner for a while. I think Larry Sago owned it for a while. And for the most part, it was Joe and Christine Kimmel for the last, I believe, 10 or 15. 15, I think. And and they're a big part of the family and the history as well. You know, they brought their own touch to it as well. But 2 years ago, it burned down, and I was able to purchase it and reconstruct it. So moved an old church down to the site from Bogachita that was built in 1879. And we are using that for an event space for ceremonies and special events and celebrations. And then we have about 6,000 square feet of new construction for lounge, restaurant, kitchen, catering, and overnight lodging. So it's a really special place. We're very proud of it. We tried to build something that makes it look like it's always been here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of imperfections in it, and I like it that way.
Well, Ted, I can't thank you enough for doing this and being a part of Listen to the Eagle, but also bringing back the history to Lake Dixie Springs and the fine food. And I want to invite everybody, if you don't do anything in 2018, you need to make the quick trip south to southwest Mississippi and go to the Mallard for an unbelievable meal and an unbelievable night and kind of just an event. You can make it an event or you can make it just a night. Ted, thank you. I love you, brother.
You too, Bert. Thanks very much. You know, your brother and sister were here last night, so you're next.
I'm coming down tonight. Welcome back in. Listen to the Eagle. Your live call-in radio show on hunting, fishing, God, family, and country, and anything Paul Ott wants to talk about. I'm Bert Ott Carruth, your host, coming to you live from the Reed's Metal Studio right here in Jackson, Mississippi, alongside Paul Ott at beautiful Lake Dixie Springs in the Scenic Rivers region. We're visiting with Jim Holcomb. Jim Holcomb's kind enough to come on to Listen to the Eagle from time to time, kind of share with us his thoughts and experiences out in the great outdoors. Jim is a big hunter in the state of Alabama, and he prides himself on hunting the public management areas. A little bit different than probably most hunters, in my opinion, where we have the land and the management situation, and we got game cameras, and we're feeding, and we're doing our homework. Jim likes the challenge of heading out to these public management areas, and it is a real challenge when you walk into something every day and it's different terrain and different areas and you have no idea what's going on. And Paulette, I think you had a question for Jim about these areas.
Yeah, Jim, I was on the break. We were talking about that northwest area up there in Alabama, which is really wild. We got lost in there looking for the Coon Dog Burial Cemetery. Is it still up in that area?
Yes, sir. It's up there. I'm gonna tell you that's part. I've never actually made my way to it, but I'm gonna tell you that's the Bankhead National Forest. And if you haven't ever been in that part of Alabama, let me tell you, when you step in there, you literally think you're in something like Lord of the Rings or one of these movies you see. I mean, it's totally, it's a real time, big time hardwood forest that you get off in there. You better have a GPS handheld or be very good with your navigational skills.
I'm going to tell you something, Jim. We got in there and got lost, and I finally found a house. Only thing they had in front of the house was an Alabama football flag. And I said, is there any way to get out of here? And nobody, well, I was going to ask them, nobody came to the door. They had a sign on the door that said, we'll be back after a while. We gone to the country. I said, Lord God. Yeah, but it is really something.
Well, Paulette, if you were up there looking for the Coon Dog Cemetery, why'd you bury Old Blue up there?
It was because they still have it. It cost $1,000 every time you bury a dog up there in that Coon Dog burial place. And in fact, when we went up there, I was with the Game and Fish. We flew into there, and they buried a dog, somebody from Vicksburg, and they had a preacher, had everything, and made the Paul Harvey News.
Y'all went up there to bury a dog from Vicksburg. Why were you there? Were you singing? Were you speaking?
No, yeah. As a matter of fact, it was a red bone, and I had to change the words to Old Red from Old Blue. But they had a preacher, the guy from Vicksburg. Always did those things, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a ceremony, and there were people everywhere, and it used the Alabama news, the Mississippi news. It was quite an event.
The Coon Dog Cemetery. Okay.
Yeah. You ain't ever been there, Jim?
I haven't. I've heard about it up there, though. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of coon. That area up through there is big for coon hunting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Jim, we got a couple of minutes before we go to another break, but I do want to go ahead and get into this a little bit, kind of frame it up for our listeners, and then you and I can talk more in details in the next segment, and I can't thank you enough for staying with us this long. So, Forever Wild Land Trust, kind of share with everybody what they did, and they put this on the website, and how you found out about it, because I really would love for this to get established in the state of Mississippi.
So, it was something new that came up. I actually had a friend of mine, she put us on to it. She signed up for all of the hunts that were available, and it was like a lottery system. They went in, they drew it out, and if you got chose, you either got chose for a primary or secondary. In case that person didn't, they drew somebody, and that person couldn't make it, they would put you in as a secondary, as an alternate. What happened is they bought up a bunch of land. I found this out, later, that they bought 7,000 acres on this particular tract that was a hunting club that evidently got lost. The people lost the lease on it or what have you.
But this is the Forever Wild Land Trust Group.
Yeah, they purchased these plots of land for sure. And they hadn't been hunted on. This particular one, we found out, hadn't been hunted on for 3 years. And at that time that it went, when it was a hunting lodge, they did 8 or better. So the bucks potential for the bucks there was really some quality bucks.
So all the lottery picks got to go on this part of this 7,000 acres. They kind of sectioned it off, right?
Well, she and I had 400 acres to ourselves, and there were only that particular weekend. It was an archery hunt, and we'll get into that later about how well it did. But it was an archery hunt, and we had, I think, 6 people total that hunted. Everybody had their own 400 acres.
Oh, wow. All right, hold that thought. We got to go to break. Y'all don't go anywhere. Going to find out more about this Forever Wild Land Trust that took place in Alabama and this hunting event and this lottery. It's pretty cool. Got visiting with Jim Holcomb, Bert Ott Carruth, and Paul Ott. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to listen to the Eagle. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We are your live call-in radio show on hunting, fishing, God, family, and country. I'm Bert Ott Carruth coming to you live from the Reed's Metal Studio right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Want to invite each and every one of you, if you need a metal roof or a metal building or just a little hunting camp, go to reedsmetals.com. They can make sure to take care of you and all of your needs. Got Paul Ott by phone down in the beautiful Lake Dixie Springs in the Scenic Rivers region, and visiting with Jim Holcomb out of the great state of Alabama, who comes on Listen to the Eagle from time to time and shares with us some things that are going on over there. We've been talking with Jim. He was on a couple of months ago, and he shared with us about this Forever Wild Land Trust took down several thousand acres, and then they kind of put on a website, and they had a lottery where you could enter, and then if chosen, you had your own section of 400 acres that basically you, and it sounds like you had a partner in crime to hunt just this 400 acres, and that's kind of where we left it before we went to break, Jim, that y'all had this 400 acres all to yourself, and it was an archery hunt, and go ahead.
Yeah, so we got selected for it, and we went down. We planned it out. They would not let you go beforehand to scout it. So it was really going in blind. However, it was it was set up. It was already a hunting facility, anyways. In the years past.
Right.
But we got down there. The place is it's called Cedar Creek. Wildlife Special Opportunity Area is what they call it, and it's between Selma and Camden, so it's right down there between those two cities or towns. We get set up. We set up. Actually stayed at a state park over there, Roland Cooper State Park, which is first class too. I'm not trying to give anybody any business, but that was a great place down on the Alabama River. And, day one, we get in there, we go take our stands. We had no idea where we're going. We had to check in with one of the assistants there, and didn't see any deer the first day. We come back out, and we're sitting all day long. I'm talking, come back to the truck for a few minutes, get a cracker or something, and get back in the stand. Actually, I tell you, that was that morning hunt. We came back into the evening, and we actually moved around a little bit. Bert, I've never killed a deer with a bow, okay?
Okay.
Shot a lot of targets, thought I was a great archer and all this stuff, but a lot different when you get up in that tree. And anyway, I had a doe come by that Friday evening, and she got within about 15 yards and never saw me, and I took the shot. It was you could only shoot bucks that met certain criteria. Had to be 20-inch main beams. I mean, it was really strict on the bucks. So does were open. You could shoot a doe with no problem. So I shot the doe. She ran off. I hit her a little back. We decided to come back the next morning and try to find her. Let me tell you, that weekend, it was 78 degrees.
Oh, wow.
All weekend. And it was really a miserable as far as the temperature and the weather was. But we came back. We got that deer. We found her, brought her back up to they have a skinning shed. It's pretty nice little setup. No running water, but we had well water.
Yeah.
So to wash your hands and everything, after you did the cleaning, you pumped your own water to clean yourself up. It was pretty cool deal. And the next day, each day from there, I think I took a shot at a couple other does and missed them. I'm gonna tell you, a doe is, in my opinion, the adult doe is about as smart as a buck.
Yeah.
And
well, Jim, let me
anyway,
ask you this: how much?
Yeah.
How much did this? Other than, was there an entry fee for the lottery?
Low entry fees. You sign up online, and this isn't just one. they've got. I can't. I'm not even. I wasn't prepared to tell you how many they have. There's probably 20 or 30 different hunts that you sign up for different areas. They purchased a lot of land through the state.
So other than just promoting the outdoors and promoting hunting, what is Forever Wild Land Trust gaining by doing this?
The what I've gathered from it is they're trying to give your ordinary guy, that's like me, the opportunity to kill a quality deer.
Yeah.
Without having to join a club. It costs thousands of dollars. You know, they want to have mentor hunts where people that have never hunted before that can come in there. They're actually going to do, I think the next year will be a bigger year. They're going to do mentor hunts for the youth. They have a lot of the youth days, dove, squirrel. I mean, it's not just deer hunts. So it seems like they did a really good job this year. I was impressed. You know, they had a game warden at each event that was there in case you needed them or what have you. They were like, we're getting it there. But I was really impressed in the setup.
Well, hold on the line for us. I want to go to the phones. We got Jimmy and Corinth on the line, and Jim, just stay on for a second. Jimmy, welcome to Listen to the Eagle.
Ask Mr. Lott, did he go over and take a stick and get some of them fishing worms out of the ground over while he was up there at that Coon Dog Cemetery?
You hear that? Huh, Paul Lott? Did you do that?
Well, I tell you what, it's been so long I can't remember what we did. I had a hard enough time singing that song there, man, with all them TV stations there, you know. But that's up in that area where you are, Carson. It wasn't too far over.
No, but you can take a stick on one of them trees and them fishing worms come out look like snakes crawling out across the woods. They do. Hey, they had the TV up there on that at one time, and never nobody don't believe that, but it's really true. I've done it, and I wouldn't have believed it. And it scared me when I done it. Me and my nephew was up there doing it, and them things that was crawling out across the woods, they look like snakes. They're big old long worms.
Good night, Jimmy. That's crazy. I've never heard of that.
Well, they're there. They're there. And they had the TV on there at one time up there. That's incredible. That's what they had it on.
Oh, yeah, I remember that show. That's incredible. I sure do.
They had that on up there one time. And them worms, that's a sight for sore eyes when you go up there and do that.
Now, Jimmy, you're talking about at this public management area in North Alabama?
Yeah, it's right in there in North Alabama, right in there around that Coon Dog Cemetery up there. Yeah. And they have a grave in there. I went in there and looked around, and they have graves in there for them coon dogs. It's cost a lot of money. And one of them said, good is the best and better than the rest. And but that's a really pretty place in there, but there's some rattlesnakes in there too now.
Oh, Lord God.
All right. Jimmy, thank you.
Y'all.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Well, that's pretty interesting. I had never heard about that before. So now, hey, Jim, we've learned that there's a Coon Dog Cemetery where you were. Now you can go up there and catch a whole bunch of worms to go fishing just by taking a stick and putting it in the ground.
Hey, I've heard of that before. I think it's called fiddling or something. But hey, they say it's a sight to see. I'd like to see it, but because he's right. It really, you can really do it.
Well,
I've just never witnessed it.
Well, Jim Holcomb, we've kept you long enough. I can't thank you enough for sharing this. I would really like for somebody to step up in the state of Mississippi, and hopefully we can get something like this accomplished. Thank y'all for making us a part of your night. We love you. We'll be right back, same place, same time next week. Love you, Paul. I'll see you in just a little bit.
Love you.